Hey, what is going on, you guys? It's your boy, I'm one for Orange, aka I'm one for Arige, aka I'm one for PV, and nah, I'm just playing. This isn't a PvE video. Back at it again with another competitive analysis video on the Pokemon Planet meta. But I say that joke because if you missed the last video, it was a price checking guide on the Pokemon Planet to help mostly newer players out in the economy and not get scammed. This video featured a few icons of their own right in Pokemon Planet, being Bearface and One Trick Phony. It was a very informative video, and if you missed that video, you can check it out. There will be a link in the description, or visit my channel. It's available at any time. Alright, but let's return to form. I'm one for PvE. Go sit down, it's your day off. We're going back to the nitty gritty of the PvP content that all the I'm One for Orange viewers want. Awesome, this will be episode 3 of my Clan Wars analysis series, where I don't record the gameplay and commentary live, but I hand choose a few games for my Clan Wars weekend that I think show off some good play, as well as I can analyze and show some of my decision making and where I believe I made plays right. Or in the case of my opponent, maybe I'll give a few tips in where they could have played better and possibly defeated me. And of course, in the case of me losing, I'll go over why I think I lost and what I could have done better. So, if you're new to the channel, be sure to leave a like, comment, or subscribe to be notified when more of these kinds of videos go up. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So in today's video, we're going to be showcasing 2 matches in T1 as well as 2 matches in T2, but before we get into the actual gameplay, let's go over the team. So the team will be no stranger to anyone that's seen the other 2 episodes of this series, but let's go over it anyway. The Empoleon is a modest nature with a focus sash. This is a great anti-lead in the meta, really matches up well against your common Mienshau's, your Krooks, to some extent Crobat, as well as the more passive leads such as Donphan, Fortress, Hippowdon, with Scald and Aqua Jet to really beat those Sash leads, even being able to beat Galvantula with this set. Grass Knot to handle your coverage versus Seismitoad and Swampert, and then Rocks if you can get them up, but usually it's more fun to just click buttons, especially when you're in Torrent. We have a Choice Scarf Crook, which is just the bread and butter of the tier. Excellent speed tier at base 92. This is faster than your, for example, Roserade, Heracross, Gardevoir, Earthquake Knockoff being great stab options, as well as Pursuit helps you trap in Hoopa or Swellow since it's pretty frail. Emboar makes me just break everything in sight. Flare Blitz can do insane damage to Mandibuzz, even having chances to KO raw after rocks. That's Impish Mandibuzz. Reckless boosting the damage of its Flare Blitz and Wild Charge to obscene levels. Crobat being a jolly nature with Brave Bird and U-turn for momentum. No defog on this team. I have Roost and then Taunt, and that is mostly to stop me from losing the setup sweepers, as notably I don't have like Foul Play Mandibuzz or anything like that. I really need the Taunt to help not lose to that. Or just stop general setups such as Trick Room or Manual Weather, as you'll see. Celebi drastically improves my matchup against all those bulky waters. Life Orb Celebi hits extremely hard even without a Nasty Plot, but with a Nasty Plot it just increases to absurd levels of damage. Psychic, Giga Drain, Dazzling Gleam are my moves when Nasty Plot is the last. And finally, my cleaner is Sharpedo, Adamant Nature with Speed Boost with a Life Orb. This really gives it all the damage it needs to really sweep through games at the very end. Liquidation, Crunch, Psychic Fangs to hit Heracross and Crobat, and then Protect to generally stall out turns, as well as activate your Speed Boost. Alright, that's the T1 team. As you know, you've definitely seen this before if, you've watched the other episodes, but I gotta go over it for the new viewers. Alright, let's get into the battle. First game is against NV 100. We can see my Empoleon lead versus a Hippo. I always like to do the heathen thing here, and I click Scald. There's a chance that you can get a nice little burn on this Hippo to stop its leftovers. If they go hard into Blissey here, unless they're Rocks on Blissey, which they definitely could be, but I think Rocks and Hippo are pretty good. I mostly get something out of this turn by clicking Scald here. Rocks are also great as they have a Swallow and Arcanine, but I'm assuming that I'll be able to get up rocks the next turn. Now, a little commentary about Envy's team. I actually like it. I think Hippo outside of Sand is very underrated. It's just a very sturdy wall for the same reasons I mentioned that Crook, Mienshao are common leads. Hippo really stops those in its tracks. You can break a lot of random focus sashes like maybe Frostlasses with the Sand, making those matchups a bit easier for you to deal with. And you're usually sturdy enough to get up your own rocks, as well as pivot in later in the game and get that slack off recovery. So I think Hippo is fantastic even outside of Sand. Very underrated. The rest of the team, Blissey is also kind of underrated if you're using it on a kind of balanced team like this. We're going to see he's Impish Arcanine, which I'll give some commentary on that later. And Swallow is a breaker. I think Swallow is falling out of the meta just a little bit, but it is still fantastic. I really think that more and more people are teching in those steel types and special walls, whether it be AV Slowking, Goodra, Calm Empoleon, which really, really hurts Swallow's viability. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and click Scald this turn, fishing for that damage as well as a burn. And we're going to see immediately that this Scald is going to do massive damage. It's going to do 83%, and they're going to get up rocks. So at this point, it's pretty straightforward. I can either get the kill or get rocks on my own, but I really do want to get rocks. If we do the math, they are at 23%. If they slack off here, plus the leftovers, they're going to be at 73 plus 6, which is about 79% HP, and my Scald did 83. So if I get the same exact Scald roll as last time, I'm able to kill, even if they slack off here. And if they Earthquake, I don't entirely care, as I'm still sashed and definitely going to outspeed, as we saw from turn 1. But instead of taking the KO, I really do want to get up rocks. And yeah, this is a little tricky of a decision. I probably could have got the KO here, because letting this thing slack off is a little annoying, but I thought the rocks were more important. And I really thought that in the case that, you know, they switch around, their only real switch is Blissey. So I'm going to Scald here, and they do switch into Blissey. And what happens here is Blissey takes the rocks damage, the Scald damage, unfortunately gets burned, but whatever. And then that burn plus the Sandstorm, it's down to, it lost 34% health that turn, which really isn't that bad. And my sash is still intact for now. But this is what Embor's here for. It is for breaking shit. The off chance that this Blissey does carry Psychic is actually kind of cute tech. I do want to say that. Blissey with Psychic could be usable because of all the Mienshaos and Heracrosses wanting to switch in on it, as well as Embor in this case. But the only things this Blissey can do are Toxic, which it probably wouldn't have Toxic on an Empoleon, or Seismic Toss, which Seismic Toss does make some sense, but I think it's going to care more about its immediate health, especially when it has to switch in on rocks, and also the Sandstorm, it's going to want to heal. So I go Embor. As I said, I'm banded. When it's at 100% health, it's out of range of Flare Blitz. You need to be at around 70% to die to Flare Blitz. So I do have to go for Superpower here. Superpower is still fantastic, but the attack drop that Superpower gives you is it's not close combat. Close combat is minus defense and minus special defense, but Superpower is minus attack and minus defense. So that attack drop is the difference in securing stuff like 2-hit KOs on Hippo from full. I would have obviously much rather spammed Flare Blitz here, but it was a little too risky. Just a bit. So I Superpower here. Into the, we'll see, the Impish Arcanine comes out, and this thing is going to get decimated. So full defense, Impish, drop my attack, and I Superpower. And this is where the rocks were huge, so I stand by my plate of rocks. It goes from 75 to 25 from this Superpower. So as you can do math in your head, if the first Superpower did 50, The second one should be doing around 35. So even with these leftovers here, the next superpower should kill under normal circumstances. I'm going to click superpower again. I presume it to be pretty free. And I assume Envy, because they didn't extreme speed me, I assume they clicked Morning Sun. And I was going to dive into this example here. So I end up killing the Arcanine. But because of all these attack debuffs I have, had the Arcanine Morning Sun here, it certainly could have continuously healed out of range, especially considering the Sandstorm just ended. So Morning Sun doesn't work like Recover in the way that it considers weather effects. So stuff like rain and sand and hail actually nerf the healing from Morning Sun from 50 to 25%. But in the sunlight, it buffs it from 50 to 75%. It's a trade-off. Certainly pretty interesting to use on a Hippo team. And I do think this Arcanine is kind of the weak link. But commentary aside, let's look at the hypothetical situation where I'm using an Adamant 252 banded Emboar here. I hit 229 speed, and I was demonstrating that if this Impish Arcanine was faster, it's naturally 226 speed if it's 31 IVs Impish. That's only 3 points slower to speed tie Emboar. So I was considering if he just ran 16 speed to be 230, he could have got that Morning Sun off and then proceeded to really heal up on my Emboar and punish me, as I was just going to get attack debuff after attack debuff and whatnot. That's why superpower is a move. Lowering the user's attack is so much less impressive than close combat. Emboar really got scuffed in that regard. But if this Arcanine was faster, the matchup could have gotten way different. And a little more about this, if he was something like 25 speed, I still would have crept up that extra 40 EVs to be 230. I think this is something worth considering if you're going to be running Impish Arcanine in the tier, because you're able to switch into Emboar, which is one of those things that is supposed to have no switch-ins, and suddenly be a switch-in. You resist Flare Blitz, Wild Charge will make the Emboar kill itself over time, Superpower gives those attack debuffs that you can just heal on. I think this is really worth considering, and had Envy been a little bit faster of an Arcanine here, I think this matchup would have gone way differently. But alas, he wasn't. But there's my commentary about that little interaction there. My Emboar is now neutered at -3 attack and -2 defense. On what do they go into? They go into Swellow, and that's because Swellow essentially gains a kill. But I often get asked in the comments about my Empoleon. As you see, it is modest. Even though my modest Empoleon does carry Aqua Jet, I'm often asked why not Rasher Mild? Because it makes sense. If you're using Empoleon as a Sash lead, it makes sense for you to be maybe a more mixed set, so your Aqua Jet does as much damage as possible and doesn't suffer from that -10% deduction by being modest. But if I was Rash this game, we'll see how the situation's different, because my switch into Swellow is Empoleon, and Empoleon's natural bulk is able to take that Boom Burst, right? And I'm able to take a second Boom Burst. If I was Rash, this wouldn't have happened. So I'm able to come into this Swellow here, and I can check it, as Scald is going to threaten, again, something on his team. So this is why I think Modest is preferred. You don't have to use your Empoleon as a suicide lead. You can save it. And the Swellow matchup is a pretty good reason to save it. You avoid the 2-hit KO as long as you didn't take that prior chip. Now, I should have made a ballsy play here. You can see me hover over. I really think he's going to go Blissey here, but I don't want to risk the fact that they can just Boom Burst again, go for the crit, or go for the high roll. I don't think either of those plays are bad. I think the high roll would have had to be extremely high, by the way, but mixed in with high roll plus crit, there are some chances of killing this Empoleon here. I didn't want to risk it if he went for it. If he went for the Boom Burst, as I doubled into Emboar. So, yeah, I decided to just Scald. I really wanted to go Emboar there, though. It would have been a cool play. So I Scald the Blissey. I save health on Empoleon here. I go Emboar. As they make a more aggressive play in Seismic Toss here. Cool. So now my Emboar is more chipped, and the Blissey is also low. The Blissey being this low is very important for me, by the way, as I am Life Orb Celebi, and I do have stuff like Life Orb Shark. It's really going to want this chip on Blissey. So the fact that it's not at 100 right now is great. It's going to be down to 59 minus Rocks damage. It's going to be below 50% health. And because Arcanine's gone, I can go for Flare Blitz freely, finally. So I'm going to rip that right into the Mandibuzz. And look at this. Almost died. That was so close. The fact that it didn't die is kind of ugly, because now I have to go into something and get off, I have to take Rocks damage. I decided to go Crobat here. Kind of an ugly play as well. I didn't want to go Crook, because I didn't want to let in the Hippo for free. Hippo is still extremely healthy, and I didn't want to go Celebi, because it's a nasty decision. I have to Nasty Plot on the turn Blissey comes in to be a threat to it. And if I Nasty Plot on the Mandibuzz, then obviously I can die to U-turn. But more so, I don't think he would save the Mandibuzz and switch out to Blissey. I think they would just stay in. So yeah, I'm not able to be that threat to Blissey, and then I lose the Pokemon to Swallow. I thought this was the best way. Even though I'm going to take Rocks plus Helmet, which is nasty, I thought this was the best way to preserve the other Pokemon I needed. Crobat, of course, being extremely good this game to taunt Blissey. But yeah. And then really, at this point, I wanted to force out that Hippo. Yeah. So I'm trying to force out that Hippo now. I can knock on anything here. He can't go Swallow. Ditto, I wouldn't mind knocking the Scarf. I wanted this Hippo out so I can go into my Celebi and I can plot on it. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. What do they click here? They click Slack Off, they heal back to full, good play. And now I'm able to be a bigger threat to this Blissey than I got Chip on, because I can Nasty Plot immediately on this Hippo. So I really thought that this damage, honestly, was going to be enough. At +2, I thought that Life Orb Psychic was going to do over 50, but it was a gross miscalculation. This Blissey takes it way better than I thought. It's a shame that Celebi doesn't get Psyshock. So after seeing that I'm going to lose the 1v1 at +2, my only play is to go to +4, and I really, really need to break through this. Toxic sucks. It would have sucked if it hit, so sorry about that. But I am Natural Cure, so I had some counterplay around it. And at this point, I Psychic as they soft-boiled. And because of the Sandstorm chip, I actually have a chance to 1v1, but I have to high roll right now. And I do. I think a low roll would have had it just out of range, and then it would have gotten ugly. So based off the old calc on the Swallow, leaving the Empoleon over 50, I thought I could switch an Empoleon here. But yeah, low rolls and high rolls are a thing. My Empoleon died. I would have liked the Empoleon this game still for getting off a nice Torrent Scald, potentially on Hippo. But yeah, alas. So I'm able to go into Crook here, and I don't want to bother 50-50ing. I just want this out of here, so I pursued it here. Just making sure the Swallow is now a non-factor for the rest of the game. That was a pretty good trade-off to me. Mandibuzz is gone, so it can't immediately pressure something. I don't want to be toxic. I don't want to get randomly Ice Fanged on Celebi, so I go Crobat is my mid-ground, and I also can taunt it to prevent it from slacking off. And it was smart that I went into Crobat because he roars. Now, this is tricky, because if he continuously roars me on the turn I go Celebi, then it becomes a very ugly time to win. In fact, actually, Envy is in a pretty good spot here, because the Celebi can only switch into Rocks once. The second time it dies, I believe. So my game plan was honestly to sack Crobat to the Rocks and then get in Celebi for free, just to get a guaranteed hit off on something. And even that is kind of risky because they can go Ditto, and I don't have a very good coverage move for Ditto, with my best move being Dazzling Gleam. So I had to play this interestingly, and you'll certainly see that. So yeah, so this is just a game where I'm deciding what to do. I decide to stay in here and knock off the leftovers, I believe. I thought that was my best course of action, as they Earthquake, so they were maybe trying to catch that Celebi, maybe just want to chip on this Crook. Chip on this Crook, by the way, was important. So I stay in to continue knocking off. Now, they're gonna Roar here, and all I need is not Crobat to come in. Anyone but Crobat, and even Crobat isn't that bad, because again, I can use that to my advantage to taunt and get a sack into one of my mons. But I get Sharpedo, which is great. I don't want Ditto copying Sharpedo in the endgame and leaving it up to a 50-50. So I'm glad that I'm able to get this damage off and not kill as I proceed to get roared. I don't believe it matters who I get roared into at this point, because everything at 14%, this Hippo is in range of every attack, whether it be the knock here, Brave Bird off Crobat, or the obvious moves from Celebi. So Ditto comes out, and this is where me being Intimidate instead of Moxie wins me the game, because I'm able to just play a sack game. As I'm at -1 attack right now, I don't want to stay in, so I'm going to sack Celebi. He doesn't get the Moxie boost because he copies my Intimidate, so I sack Celebi. I go back into Crook, because yeah, I can lose to the opposing Scarf Crook unless I do this. Switch back into Crook, get the Intimidate drop, and I saw he was locked into Knock, so I'm able to only choose 2 sacks, put him at -2 attack, and then I know that Knock into Knock won't kill, bar a crit. At this point, he can still crit me. But my play turns out well. I simply Earthquake for the 2-hit KO here. And that was that game. Intimidate Crook really coming in handy there. Good game, Envy. Think he played really well. Yeah, I really think that the Arcanine being faster there would have made a big difference. And overall, the plays were really impressive. So, good game to Envy. I have another game here coming up. This is with UrsinhoSatanista. Okay, I didn't say that right. I tried though. And this is one of the nastiest leads for Empoleon. I'm just gonna be straight up. I clicked this guy. I shouldn't have. Tentacruel is a disgusting lead for Empoleon for this set, because it's able to spin away everything I do. My Scald doesn't do much damage, and Lord knows my Grass Knot doesn't either. So in this matchup, I'm honestly banking off the fact that he's not going to click Sludge Bomb here. There's no way. I'm a Steel type. The scariest thing they can do is knock or set up T-Spikes. So again, immediately in a really bad spot. But I decide to go Celebi, because I think it covers the fact that he's probably not going to Sludge Bomb. I don't know. I'm really just pulling at strings trying to make this matchup work. So I thought they were going to time out. They took a while, but they don't. They go Milotic, which is really interesting, to be honest. I don't think that was the play by any means. I decided to Nasty Plot up on this. Still trying to figure out what their team is. And what does the Milotic do? They probably just Toxic. Being Toxic on a Celebi really isn't the end of the world by any means. I'm Natural Cure. So after I switch out, my Toxic is healed. So my job is to just break stuff now. I Giga Drain. I don't want a Psychic, and the reason I don't want a Psychic is I need damage on Malamar with the Giga Drain to kill it with the following Dazzling Gleam. At least I believed. If it was a careful set, that's what would happen. So I attacked for damage. They go Tentacruel and live. Okay, so I'm thinking this is fine. Most people are running a slower Tentacruel, but you'll see why I think Timid Tentacruel is really good. So here they speed tied my Celebi, and they used Rain Dance. And this is kind of an oh shit moment, because honestly, Manual Rain is scary. And looking at Ludicolo and looking at my team, it's not the best. I do have Empoleon though, so that's what I go into on the Ludicolo. But they break my stash with the Ice Beam. And I'm thinking Ice Beam, Surf, Giga Drain, Hydro Pump, maybe, right? Click Rocks and nah, I get Focus Blasted. So yeah, this Ludicolo is scary, and I have to rely on gimmicks to not lose too many mons. Crook is slower than Swift Swim and Ludicolo, and it also doesn't one-shot. I need Crook for sure to help me deal with Xatu later. I mean, kinda. Sharpedo's still there. So I go Sharpedo, and I protect once to stall out a rain turn. At this point, the Swift Swim Ludicolo is at +2, compared to my Sharpedo at +1. So I have to bank on the fact that they're gonna Giga Drain again, and I go Crobat. Obviously, they could have just Surfed or Hydro Pumped, but I get the play right. And at this point, I don't know. It's kind of scary. I Brave Bird into the Ludicolo. Presumably the switch-in should be exactly this, the Milotic, however you want to say it. And I am scared of Manual Rain at this point. Yes, it wasn't Damp Rock, Tentacruel. And yes, this is Flame Orb Milotic, however you want to say it again. But I really don't want to get that rain back up, because in the case that it does, I don't think I have enough turns to withstand 5 more turns of rain, to be honest. So no matter what, I decided to taunt here, because if they were Manual Rain Dance on this too, things could have gotten ugly. So I taunt, they Scald and they burn me. I mean, that's a pretty good play overall, considering Recover was the quote-unquote obvious one. Good double into Malamar out of the Milotic, for sure, as I brought in Celebi. I think Celebi was my obvious switch-in, and this was the really good way of dealing with it. I do have Gleam coverage, which gets it down to half as I die. And because the Milotic is chipped, I do feel okay about this situation, but not the best. I bring in Big Dondada Emboar to claim a kill. Superpower claims a kill on anything that's not Sableye. I didn't want to Flare Blitz because Milotic Flame Orb is bulky enough to live that. I Superpower, kill it. Where do they go here? Think they should go Milotic, because even at -1 attack, I'm not going to do enough. Yeah, even with -1 attack, it's just not enough. Rocks would have been pretty good this game. I think I would have had a better chance at that roll. So I go Crobat, and I believe I taunt here still, being scared of Manual Rain. Cool, I think so at least. Yeah. So I taunt as they Ice Beam me and kill me. Perfectly fine with that. I need damage off on this now, and Emboar Wild Charge claims a kill. So Emboar really putting in that work, breaking this team, so my other mons can live. I miraculously live this Scald, so Emboar doesn't just chip this down for something else to win, but it outright gets the kill. Very, very good. That's why a little bit of bulk sometimes comes in handy. So we get rid of the Milotic. I have Crook, Sharpedo, and a Dream against, honestly, an easy matchup. Now, because Sharpedo doesn't kill Ludicolo in one hit, all I need is damage off. Moxie Crook won the game on the spot, by the way, but I'm Intimidate, as we know. They send out Xatu. Don't know why. I think Xatu wasn't. Oh, it was Scarf Xatu. Okay, well, I was faster than Scarf Xatu. That could have gotten ugly, actually, if it was faster. I knock off the Ludicolo for the damage that I need, as I assume that I'm dying to Surf here, right after. Let's see. Yep. But that's all the damage I need. Now it's in range of Crunch, and Prankster, which I assume the Sableye has, doesn't work on Dark types. So it's not going to be able to burn my Sharpedo, nothing like that. I just attacked here. I didn't want to mess around with it clicking Rain Dance manually and then winning because of that. Shark is naturally faster than Ludicolo. I had no reason not to attack. Again, just being really scared of manual rain. I liquidate here, they knock off, but my liquidations are doing too much damage, especially considering the fact that they can't burn me. I don't know if Shadow Sneak would have killed me, but liquidations are doing too much damage. I got that defense drop. It didn't matter though. I was going to 1v1 this regardless. So good game to this player. Definitely put up a fight. And manual rain is scary. I gotta be honest. So let's talk about T2. We're into the T2 games now, and I got 2 T2 games for you. And I believe that I lose both. So let's start talking. I'm using the same T2 team as last time. Let me quickly get it in the calculator, and then I'll talk about it once again. Didn't even calc anything last game. Okay, that's fine. I showed you guys the Arcanine game 1, that counts for something. Alright, let's load this all up. There we go. T2 team is just a straightforward HO team. Well, I guess it's a little less than straightforward, but the meta is shifting in this direction, I believe. Azelf Sash Lead is a little struggling in the meta, to be honest, but I have a self-com one. I want to use it. It's Taunt Stealth Rock Fire Blast, so I can hit Tangrowths and Ferrothorns that try to bait out that knockoff or explosion. I can hit those really, really hard. Great HO lead. Explosion, when it goes off, defog and moves like that fail. That is the niche of Azelf compared to other HO leads. This thing can kill itself on command, making Rapid Spin and Defog not have a target and therefore fail. Serp screens, I'm running a max HP, max speed Serp, and I do have to say this is 31 speed. A lot of people go for the 30 speed Serp due to Hidden Power Fire being restricted to even IVs, but I'm running Taunt explicitly to stop other Serps. So I wanted 31 speed. Reflect, Light Screen, Leaf Storm, and Taunt over Glare. Glare is going to come into handy, as we'll see later. Manaphy here. We have a Manaphy. This is a max speed, max special attack Manaphy. 3 attacks Tail Glow. Just great sweeper under screens. Life Orb Volcarona. This is Hidden Power Ground this game over Bug Buzz. I do think Bug Buzz has a lot of merit though, and I'll talk about that in a bit. Flamethrower for that raw damage, Giga Drain to hit stuff. You know the vibes. We have double rocks on Garchomp just in case they get them off somehow. I'm sure Sword Stance is fine on this, but this is a naive nature. Just so I can Fire Blast Ferrothorns and Tangrowths without constantly needing to go into Bisharp or Volk. Letting me deal with these on my Chomp seems like the play. Earthquake, Stone Edge for Zapdos as well. And then finally, this is Adamant Black Class's Bisharp, knockoff Sucker Punch Iron Head plus Sword Stance, and this is the prevention, so they can't just freely click Defog with the Bisharp in front of them, or on the opposing side rather. Bisharp is a good deterrent because of Defiance. If one of these stats gets lowered, then Bisharp is going to gain +2 attack. Let's get right into it. First game is against UrsoMaroto. And I'm pretty happy with how this Conkeldurr played. I clowned Conkeldurrs in my last video because they don't seem to know how to play around Azelf. I mean, shout out to this guy. I think it is straightforward, but I really don't have criticisms with how this guy played the matchup here. In one of the matchups I played last, they just switched out into their Ferrothorn and lost it. But here we go. We have a knockoff getting me down to my Sash. And then I'm going to attempt to explode. I don't want to bother predicting Mach Punch, even though it's obvious. Azelf's role is literally to go boom, so yeah. I go into my screen Serp, and this was surprising. So I reflect, and they Mach Punch, I believe, initially. So it's kind of funny, because if they knew I was screen Serp, then getting in this little bit of Mach Punch shit before I got screens up is actually a kind of funny counterplay. But whatever. It's not knock, so I'm able to light screen up, get all my turns of light clay up, and then I'm just gonna storm this for damage, believe I hit. Let's see. I don't want to bother setting up right now. I actually just want to make sure this Serp dies, I think is the most important thing that can happen. Like, make sure I get as much damage off on anything I can, and then feint, and then set up. Okay, so let's decide who the target is for setting up here. I have rocks up, screens up for about 4 to 5 turns. Honestly, I think Manaphy looked pretty good here. But the thing is, Manaphy, I need to get 2 tail glows off to beat Ferrothorn. I can just get Leech Seed plus Protect stalled out if I only have 1 tail glow up. And let's take a look at this. It's gonna come into effect later in the game. But as you can see, tail glow gives +3. This isn't a 2-hit KO. And with Leech Seed, Leftovers, Protect, actually Manaphy can get stalled out. Keep in mind this is Modest as well. Like Timid is doing less damage. So Modest, I think you want +6 to deal with Ferrothorn the best. You still don't one-shot it, but this is a better matchup considering the Leech Seed Protect shenanigans. So this could have been the wrong play because I'm going to go Volcarona here. And I was thinking that Volcarona, at least maybe I can get Azu dead because behind screens I'll always live a Banded Aqua Jet. And Latios shouldn't come in. Although I'm not Bug Buzz, this is where I say Bug Buzz can be very good. I'm HP Ground, Flamethrower, Giga Drain. So Latios actually beats me. Perhaps though, I think Manaphy still could have been the better play to get the most out of my screens turns. But to be honest, I'm in a pretty bad spot initially because my Serp is dead and I have no way to refresh screens later. So I have to hope that I use these turns the most efficient way possible now. And I really thought my way to do that, assuming they don't go Latios and take the Bug Buzz bluff, it was Volcarona. So that's what I end up doing, and things don't go well. I Quiver Dance, as I should. The Conkeldurr stays in, which is kind of, yeah, expected, but this knockoff does way too much because it's a crit. So critical hit damage, and again, not flaming my opponent, I just think it's important to talk about the game and what happened. So knockoff does 83 to 98, but behind Reflect, should be doing a bit less. I mean, actually, I guess that was a bit risky of me. Seeing how much knockoff actually does in Facade. Well, I still stand by the play that if I didn't get crit here, I would have had twice as much health effectively. So I took 68, I would have had 34 more health, 34 plus 32 is 66 health, and that would have still been enough to live Banded Azu Aqua Jet under Reflect. So the crit didn't go according to plan, but it is the game we play. And seeing how much damage the crit actually did, or how much it would have done had it not been a crit, I can see how this could be a bad play for me. And I'm actually not saying this play was correct, but the crit matters because being at that extra health, instead of being at 18, again, I would have had 34% more health. I would have been at 52% health, which I believe, especially after this Giga Drain here, is just out of Azu range. But yeah, Azu's able to come in here, and I do die to Banded Aqua Jet here, so I switch. Now, this does not much damage. He is not Banded Azu. He is AV, I believe, or maybe Mystic Water or Expert Belt. So I make another grave misplay here. My Reflector ran out, and I'm remembering what I was talking about earlier with how I need to be +6 to beat Ferrothorn. And honestly, I thought that at +3, the Azu would have been scared out. But also, honestly, I believe that Assault Vest, if it's tanky enough, Adamant, no, it should have died to this energy ball. Potentially, but there's also a pretty good chance it didn't. It depends how much bulk he had, or if instead of HP, he went something like max SpDef, which actually isn't that bad of an idea, by the way, for your AV Azus. Instead of going max HP, go max SpDef. Kind of hurts against Weavile and Keldeo, but it's an interesting play. So I really thought that they were going to go Ferrothorn here. I get up another Tail Glow as my Reflect ran out last turn, and they hit me with this play rough. Like, AV Azu actually just destroyed me here. And at this point, I'm pretty down bad. Misplayed around the Azu. That's entirely my fault. Getting crit is something that I obviously could have done something about, but, well, couldn't do anything about, but I could have initially just gone into Manaphy instead, maybe. So sending out the wrong Mon in the wrong order, plus not playing around the sets effectively when I figured out it wasn't locked to Azu. Which, by the way, also, not that it was super smart per se. Like, I think the play should always be to go Azu on Volcarona to revenge it, but it was a pretty good bluff to bluff being banded Azu, I suppose. Because I don't know if AV Azu necessarily killed the Volcarona at 32 behind Reflect. So it was a good, smart play to at least keep the bluff going like that. The Garchomp doesn't kill the Azu. I was hoping it would kill. I can't set up here just in case they play rough or superpower me. I can't Sword Stance, so I decide to Sucker to just go for the kill. Overall, like I said, my opponent playing very well. Leech Seeds me here. I'm going to go to +4 because I need +4 to one-shot this, and also there's a chance they protect this turn. Instead, they Gyro Ball. And then I'm going to simply knock, I believe. No reason to get +6. And now, this is a series of unfortunate misplays. Because honestly, +4 Bisharp could easily win the game if I get the plays right at this point. This doesn't have to be a loss. They go Zapdos. And honestly, I also stand by my play. Because here on the Zapdos, I have two options. The Zapdos is most likely going to be invested to be faster than this Bisharp. Like, every defensive set is still going to be running enough speed to outspeed Bisharp. Like, I believe 16 speed here is the go-to in PPO, but you could be running a bit faster. And this hits 240 speed while Bisharp hits 239. Now that the screens are gone, Heat Wave kills me. Discharge is going to actually kill me at this health as well. So, assuming that Zapdos should be faster than Bisharp, I honestly just want to hit it with Sucker Punch. I believe that's the stronger win con than going for Knock. Because if I knock as they attack, I lose on the spot. Yeah, because Discharge kills me, and then I have no way to help against this Azu, which is going to kill me. Yeah. I mean, rocks are up. I could have Bug Buzz. That's actually tough because in the instance they attack, then rocks don't go off. But then again, no, I can't kill the Zapdos from 75 with my Life Orb Volcarona knocked off. Flamethrower won't kill. Okay, yeah, I stand by my play because they would have been able to defog on the Volcarona then. Yeah, I still stand by this play. I Sucker Punch as they defog. So, okay, whatever. I still have a win con here. I still have enough turns left to go for another Sucker Punch as they roost here. So at this point, I don't believe the win is looking that good for me. I knock this time, finally, as they proceed to just not attack with their Zapdos, which, again, standing by the play to Sucker here. As we can see, the Zapdos is faster than my Bisharp. They were speed invested to be faster than my Bisharp. So there you go. And then at this point, it's not really a 50-50 on the Latios. All the Latios has to do now that the rocks are off, because Azu doesn't die to rocks anymore, all it needs to do is Trick if it has it, because being locked into Scarf knockoff seems good, but Azu with Aqua Jet just wins. So I sucker here, but it's not really like a 50-50. No matter what I did, whether I suckered or knocked there, as long as they have Trick, which they did, and they were holding a Scarf, then the game was effectively lost. So although I misplayed to some extent drastically around the Zapdos, I also stand by those plays. What I failed to consider was, honestly, by suckering over and over, the Zapdos was always just going to defog and get those rocks off so Azu comes back in for free. But even that said, if I knocked at any time, so one, I'm prone to being paralyzed and being slower than Azu, and I think Trick Latios just always won in the back. But then again, the opponent didn't need to just like spam Roost over and over. I think in that case, after they got the defog off, the game was won for them. Yeah, I think I had to just go off the choke. Clearly I lost. And yeah, it sucks, because I also think my opponent definitely outplayed me, but shit. I don't know. I'm not going to make the same mistakes again. Not against that opponent. I'll know how they play with their Zapdos next time. So good game, UrsoMaroto. That's my breakdown on that game. And finally, we have a game against Music 4. I was trying to click a Regirock. I didn't want to play my homeboy AJ, but here we are for the final game of the video. Azelf versus Excadrill is actually a disgusting matchup for Azelf. I get Rock Tombed and I'm lower in speed, and there's nothing I can do about keeping my rocks up or anything. Like, this is actually a nasty matchup for me. I'm not gonna lie. I Fire Blast, I hope for some kind of lucky burn or something. I don't get it. Rock Tomb crit is whatever. It literally doesn't matter because Earthquake kills me the next turn. And I feel like the Excadrill matchup is so hopeless, especially considering the fact that like Serperior can't even contrary boost on it because of the bug in PPO. For some reason, Mold Breaker affects contrary, which it's not supposed to. It's just supposed to take into account whether Excadrill can hit stuff with Earthquake. But for some reason, Mold Breaker stops the opponent's contrary from working. So I can't switch in on Rock Tomb and gain a speed boost. I can't Leaf Storm to kill it and gain special attack. Yeah, it's nasty. We have very similar teams, by the way, with him just running Excadrill over Azelf and Dragonite over Chomp. Which makes sense because of the spin lead. But anyway, so I don't know how to really play this matchup. Yeah, the rocks go up. I Fire Blast and get the kill. I'm -1 speed. This Azelf is still kind of useful, but let's see how we deal with the rest of this. To revenge kill this Azelf, if Bisharp's faster, then it's kind of free. I believe you need to be Jolly to be faster at -1 speed. But Manaphy is certainly faster, yeah. So I believe I'm just going to explode on this. Yeah, good play to Surf. I don't think that crit mattered either, just being honest. So I go Serp, and I don't remember what I do here. Okay, I Light Screen, cool. He goes his own Serp, and remember, I am 31 IV Serp. So if I taunt here, and I know he's also running Screen Serp, if I taunt, that should shut down the glares, that should shut down everything possible. So I taunt. And he is also 31 speed Serp, so winning that speed tie could have been good for me. I don't think it would have been the end of the game or anything like that, but having a Serp not paralyzed would have been able to have me taunt Volcarona and Manaphy, but now I'm slower, so now I can be set up on, and I'm prone to parahacks. So Music should switch here, as taunted doesn't matter, but yeah, exactly, you're gonna go into Volk, because I can no longer taunt you. In the instance that I got that taunt off first, in the case of a speed tie, being able to taunt the Volk to not lose on the spot could have been pretty good. But now this Quiver Dance is gonna destroy me. I have a light screen up, so I decide to go Chomp, and he reads that and goes into Serp. That's pretty good. I Fire Blast, assuming that you're going to set up a Reflect here. Now, sadly, it's pretty bulky, takes that Fire Blast very well, and also glares my Chomp. I think I misplayed here very badly. I don't know exactly what I should have done because glare is just fundamentally a busted move. Maybe Bisharp could have been the play to just let it get glared, but then again, it's tricky. Maybe Bisharp's speed tier was less important in this game, so maybe letting my Bisharp eat the glare was good. But definitely sacking Bisharp's speed tier is going to be what loses me the game, because at this point, Manaphy and Volcarona on his team actually have really good speed tiers over mine, where my ways to beat it were Serp and Garchomp, or the speed tie, the coin flip with Manaphy and Volcarona could have also made a difference, but now it's based on a coin flip, and it's no longer based on anything else. So yeah, my speed tiers are gone. He gets up his screens. I'm going to go into Serp here. I'm getting a little bit of chip over time with that burn, and I have rocks up, but he also has rocks up. This is the match here. This is how it's going to be. Volcarona sets up. My light screen just goes down there, so I have to refresh it here as he QDs, I believe. And also, this is a defensive Volcarona, unlike my offensive one. Just want to point that out for a little bit of how his is different. So I get up the light screen. This is essential for my Chomp to live a hit, and I go raw into Chomp here. I believe he Quiver Dances a second time to try to have the highest chance to kill this Chomp, and I agree with that for him. I'm paralyzed, and I have to hit Edge. And honestly, I fully expected Edge to kill. I'm Life Orb Chomp. He's ×4 weak, and Quiver Dance doesn't give defense boosts. But yeah, as Smooge always says, screens are broken. The Volcarona 8, fucking Life Orb Stone Edge Chomp. Luckily, I live that Giga Drain and I go for Quake so I don't miss and don't get parahaxed. But yeah, because I didn't get paralyzed, like, it's pretty good how that game went in the end. But Music is definitely doing something that I still need to perfect with my team, and he is utilizing his screens turns really well. He's able to know exactly how to win at each moment and how to make sure his Pokemon don't die behind the screen. So the Manaphy sets up on me, I kill myself to recoil, and this is a speed tie here with the light screen down. But I don't get the speed tie here either. I don't think this would have mattered that much either, with the Dragonite still in the back, which leads to nasty 50-50s with Bisharp. Like, even if I got this Giga Drain off here to heal up, I don't have any strong move to hit his Dragonite with. And I'm not at +1, so I'm prone to just getting paralyzed. So yeah, even though I lost that 50-50 with speed tie, it's okay. I don't think it would have made a big difference, and I messaged him that too. So I go Bisharp, and I just Sucker Punch, hoping I crit, don't crit. Like, that has to be my win con, because, look, I know AJ, and I know my Manaphy is not winning the speed tie. So I go Serp, hoping that max HP Serp lives in Ice Beam. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. And really, I truly think that he utilizes this team better than I do, and that's why he won. Now, it's not a result. I'm showing the coin flips and how the glares mattered, or how my taunt could have changed the outcome of the game differently. And by the way, here, I'll just show you I lose. But honestly, I think his heads-up awareness and how he's doubling around from Serp, getting the +2 that he needs, knowing that assuming that he knows he lives the Stone Edge here, is all good. Playing to his win cons behind the screens, I think this is something that I could do better. And I think that he's done this really well. He knows that he has 2 turns left of Reflect, and this Manaphy is super safe here. Like, he knows that unless I crit here, the Manaphy setup is safe, and the end result is likely going to win him the game because the Volcarona has to win a 50-50. And he can even be confident in the fact that maybe my Volcarona isn't 31 speed, and knowing that his Manaphy is 31 speed, there's multiple ways he can be thinking around this. Or, of course, he can be assuming that I am the same defensive Volcarona set, so I'm not going to be a max speed one, which I am. I am running 328, but a Volcarona spread can be like a bulky Quiver Dance set. That is not the set that I'm thinking about. Volcarona. I mean, I'll just show it. So it runs enough speed to outspeed Jolly Breloom, which is right here. It runs like 16 speed Timid and literally everything else in bulk. It's something disgusting like this. He could just be banking off the fact that that is also my Volcarona spread. It's probably better in screens as you handle the Azu hits a lot better. But yeah, his confidence in how he played behind screens really sealed the deal for this match. So, well played, good game. I look forward to playing you again if it happens, but honestly, I need to learn how to pilot my screens like you. So, well played. Well, and that's all I got. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. In T1, I gotta show the Emboar. Emboar was hella the MVP of T1. And T2, Bisharp was definitely a very prominent Pokemon. I could have just used it a bit better. And hopefully my T2 matches will go better next time, but I hope you learned a thing or two from these mistakes. If you made it to the end of the video, why haven't you left a like? Leave a comment, let me know what you think, and subscribe to the channel so you can be notified when I upload next. Actually, even better, show the channel to a friend so they can subscribe and we can grow this little beautiful community of weirdos that I'm working on forming. So I hope you guys all enjoyed. I'm a little busy with work, but I hope to get out the next video soon. And with all that said, I will see you guys in the next video. All pace, as always, will be in the description. Peace.